We're back with some web bonus here from two excellent experts on Parkinson's disease, Dr. Ray Dorsey, Dr. Bas Bloem, joining us all the way from the Netherlands. You guys are putting a voice to this disease that is so needed. Dr. Bloem, why don't people come forward more easily about the struggle that Parkinson's can be?
I think they don't come forward because they think that the environment, the people around them, think they're no longer worth anything. They can no longer contribute. They may lose their jobs. They may lose their family life. And if there's one thing that motivates me every day in my work, is that people with Parkinson's, despite having this chronic condition, can make a wonderful and valuable and meaningful contribution to life, to society, to family life, to work. So please come forward. Parkinson's is something you've never asked for, but it's not the end of your life. Please come forward so that we as medical professionals and multidisciplinary teams can help you, and so that you can be one of those millions of voices trying to raise further attention for this worldwide fast-growing disease.
And Ray, you have been so loud on this that if we don't speak, it's not going to get the help that it needs. Explain that a bit.
Nothing changes until people make their voices heard. Well, again, go to the HIV activists. They developed a disease that was unknown in 1981. HIV was unknown. It wasn't even known as a virus. It was a uniformly fatal condition, and there was no federal response, none, zero. Ignorance and discrimination were the only federal responses. They rose up, they made their voices heard, they shut down the streets of New York, they created a memorial quilt that covered the National Mall, they shut down the FDA, they barricaded themselves in the New York Stock Exchange. They changed the course of that disease, not only for themselves, they changed the course of the disease for all of us. Think about how many thousands or millions of us don't have HIV because they made their voices heard. So even for those who already have Parkinson's disease, they can make their voices heard and prevent thousands or millions from ever developing Parkinson's disease in the future. That can be the challenge, and that can be the challenge of our generation, and perhaps one of the greatest accomplishments of our generation to address this global health challenge. Okay,
the book ends with that clarion call to galvanize our voices, that if those of us affected by Parkinson's would just would speak about our experiences. And what is so difficult to speak about it is the stigma around the cognition factors. Dr. Bloem, talk about that, because the depression, the apathy, all of those cognition issues.
Yeah, one of our great mentors, Bill Langston, called this the iceberg of Parkinson's. What we see on the outside, the tremor, the slowness, the stiffness, is literally the tip of the iceberg. What is underneath the water is exactly what you're saying. It's the depression, it's the cognition. And on the one hand, it's fair to recognize that these are core symptoms of the disease. Up to 70% has some form of mood change, maybe become fully depressed. People do have cognitive decline, which, if you take the medical definition, qualifies as a dementia, but people should know that this is not a dementia like Alzheimer's disease. It's much more of a dementia in the form of having difficulty dual tasking, organizing your day, planning. But this can be devastating in its own right. And these are all parts of the disease. Recognizing this means that you can tailor the treatment accordingly. Occupational therapists can help to navigate people through their day, through the complexities of life. There are medications to help improve cognition. I'm not over-romanticizing it. Parkinson's is debilitating disease. It's progressive. We can't stop the progression as of yet, but we can support people to the best of our abilities.
We haven't talked about exercise yet. It's very important, isn't it? Tell us what you...
Boss, talk about exercise. I'm completely stunned that he didn't mention it when he discussed treatment.
Okay, Dr. Bloem, take it up.
Yeah, so I've always been a fan of exercise. I'm a former semi-professional volleyball player myself. What we know now is that exercise, in addition to the effects it has on all of us as just average citizens, i.e., the effects on your bone health or your cardiac functioning or your lungs, Parkinson's patients can experience symptomatic effects just like a drug when they regularly exercise. And we just published a paper in the Lancet Neurology showing that if people exercise 3 times a week for 30 to 45 minutes, and it doesn't have to be excessive. I always say you need to be panting, but still be able to maintain a conversation. that helped to stabilize the symptoms, whereas non-exercising people progressed. And we're about to submit a new paper. The scoop is for Canadian viewers that non-exercising people had a shrinking brain, and we stopped the brain from shrinking by exercising 3 times a week. So we think that if anything is out there that can help to slow down the progression of Parkinson's, it could be regular exercise. So for all the viewers here today, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Get off your butt and exercise.
Okay. And Ray, I know you agree with the exercise. You also agree with don't be afraid to do virtual treatments. And I think COVID-19 taught us as a Parkinson's community that we can still do our Zoom boxing, we can do our yoga stretching together as classes. Is actual medical treatment of our Parkinson's conditions possible?
Yeah, so there's a fundamental flaw in the way we deliver care. We ask sick patients to come see generally healthy clinicians on our terms. We should do the opposite. Healthy clinicians should see sick patients on their terms. And telemedicine is just one tool for doing that. House calls is another tool. But we should enable anyone, anywhere with Parkinson's disease to receive the expert care that they need. Bas has devoted 20 years of his life to developing expert network of clinicians from everything from dietitians to occupational therapists. We can use the technologies of today, what we're doing right now, to deliver that care to people directly in their homes where they most need it.
I find there's a lot of controversy around diet. What should we be eating? Doctors, Dr. Bloem, what should we be eating as Parkinson's patients?
Well, I predict following exercise, the next new kid on the block is going to be diet. And I think diet is hugely important for people with Parkinson's for a variety of reasons. There is some very interesting work to suggest that a Mediterranean diet, olive oil, fruit, nuts, fish, helps to reduce the risk of ever developing this condition. So that is part of a healthy diet for all of us. But even when you have Parkinson's, one of the most debilitating symptoms is constipation, slow bowel movements. So making sure that you have a diet rich in fibers can help to promote bowel movements. Regular intake of caffeine may help to prevent the risk of developing a Parkinson's. So that is something that people can resort to. There is, of course, some hope that maybe a healthy diet could also slow the progression of the disease. But this is very early days still and requires more work.
And just on that, as part of the book, we're hosting a series of Parkinson's webcasts on ending Parkinson's disease. And next Wednesday, April 29th, Dr. Bloem is going to be talking with 2 experts around, and a patient, I think, around nutrition. If people go to endingpd.org, our website, endingpd.org, and click on webcasts, they can sign up and watch for free and see Dr. Bloem talk, devote a whole hour to discussing nutrition and answering questions that people have about the topic.
Well, thank you both. I'm just really impressed how open and available you are. Thank you for putting all your research into this this book, and we'll be sure to share this special webcast with the Parkinson's community here in Canada in our circles. Thank you.
We can change the course of this disease. You know, the challenge of our time is to end this disease so future generations look back and say, we responded appropriately, we changed the course of this disease, and we prevented thousands and millions of people from ever developing Parkinson's.
Thank you both. Dr. Ray Dorsey in Rochester, Dr. Bas Bloem in Holland. Thank you.
You're more than welcome.